Hey folks, this is Will, and this is Apocalyptic Threads. What's that? Well, it is a look at apocalyptic costuming and all the design choices that you may be making when you create your post-apocalyptic outfit. Now, we're going to be going over the different potential apocalyptic settings that are available, understanding what that setting means, picking the ideal outfit for that setting, and we're going to go over the theory of a handful of distressing techniques. So when I talk about the setting, it's important to know how it ended. Like, was this an alien invasion, some sort of interdimensional, giant blue, evil octopus kind of circumstance, or robots, evil trucks, perhaps a biblical apocalypse or the singularity, plague, nuclear war, and maybe it's the supernatural, like zombies, vampires, Winchesters. There's options there, and all of these different settings have different themes. So, for example, what may be common in a biblical style apocalypse, like if there was a war between angels and demons, maybe there's a lot of like that kind of kit, angel gear and demon gear just floating around the earth. So that gets incorporated into costumes, or maybe those sort of sigils become important. Or if it is a conventional nuclear war, then you have outfits that are designed to deal with that aspect of the apocalypse. Or if it's zombies, then we've got different design elements that show up. Things like, is technology rare, or is this a post-apocalyptic setting where you still have factories and the ability to mass produce things? Are electronics rare? Are the guns, ammunition? Maybe it is a post-apocalyptic setting, but it's more along the lines of Into the Badlands, where there are people who have not only survived the end of the world, but they're managing to thrive. So they get clean clothes, and their clothing isn't distressed or beaten all up. And if they do get to the point where something gets messed up, they can just replace it. And the garment that you're creating, or the props and costuming, all of it should tell part of the story of the greater setting. If you are a rough and tumble kind of survivor, then your stuff might be shredded and, dirty. Or if you have the ability to maintain your stuff, maybe it's patched, maybe it's well worn, maybe there are some fresh tears, but maybe there's also a lot of maintenance that's done. And those different things help to kind of point and indicate what it is that the setting's all about. Like if you have if it's a vampire apocalypse, maybe everybody runs around with leather bite collars or chainmail bite collars or something that indicates the kind of setting it is. So those are the decisions you make with setting specific attire. But as far as picking the outfit goes, you want to figure out what the purpose of it is. Now, we're a LARP channel, so there's a good chance that this is something that you are going to use at a LARP, maybe our LARP. But finding out what the purpose of the costume, the outfit is something that will allow you to decide, is this cosplay? Is this something I'll be wearing where there is air conditioning? Will I be, engaging in light physical activity or heavy physical activity? Will I be fighting in this? Will I be getting shot at with like little airsoft pellets. So, will that be striking my armor? Will it need to be something that can survive that? Or does my armor need to be, or armor or costuming or whatever, need to be able to, excuse me, does it need to be able to take a hit? Because there are some events out there where, heavier contact is a thing. And if you're walking around in foam or plastic armor, that might not work. It might need to be the real deal. And another important thing is to consider what your budget is. And when I talk about budget, I talk about more than just your time, your money. I'm also talking about your storage. A thing that doesn't get considered all that often is when you're making, your giant wasteland outfit with the largest pair of shoulder pads you can find, with the craziest ornamentation. Like, when you make it to that event, well, one, you've got to make it there. How are you getting there? Are you going with a semi-trailer? Cool, you've got all the room in the world. Are you going there in your own vehicle? Are you, sitting shotgun somewhere? Are you flying? Those are all important things to consider. The storage scheme that you have for transporting your equipment and your clothing and your props to an event is absolutely part of the design process. Something else is, what sort of space is this going to take up in between events? Having costuming that can condense and transport easily can make it a lot less stressful for everyone involved. Now, having a couple like accent pieces that can be taken off is super useful. And also with that, will you be able to clean it? And will you be able to really clean it? I would suggest definitely looking into some of the stuff that I've posted, and some of the stuff that Dimitri with Nuclear Snail has posted, because his permanent grunge effects, you can wash them. And that is wonderful. So also with picking this outfit, you need to know what your carrying capacity needs to be. If this is a cosplay prop and outfit, you may just need to be able to carry, your phone and personal items, your wallet, your ID, some cash. And that's not if you've got somebody following you, carrying your gear, you might not even need that. But if this is going to be something that you use at a LARP, or at a weekend long festival event, or even if you're doing airsoft, like, you need to know what the practical limitations are of the costume that you're creating. Pockets are super important. Can't say the word pockets enough. And so also when designing, it's useful to keep an eye on use and reuse, because depending upon how often you're going to use it, that's something that you want to pay attention to. If it's a one and done thing, you might be able to make some sacrifices on comfort and durability, as opposed to something that you're going to wear for an entire weekend or a week or whatever. Because if it's something that's for a costume shoot, a photo shoot or something like that, it not being comfortable, or it being too hot, or it being something that won't really hold up to actual abuse and actual physical use, that's okay. But if you are going to be running around in it, if you are going to be wanting to like wash it and do all this other stuff, these are important things to consider. So in addition to this, like, are you going to if you're going to reuse it, it's an opportunity to think about upgrades. So it's okay to start with an entry-level outfit, and then as you go along, add stuff to it that you like. Some quick notes on outfit composition. Asymmetry is a big thing thematically in the apocalypse. And, it kind of goes back to the that image of, Mad Max on that road with, one sleeve cut off and, a brace on one knee. And it was all off. Human beings like symmetry. They like things being the same on the right and left side of us. But in our, in our genre, in the post-apocalyptic aesthetic, like that one shoulder with a shoulder pad is super popular. Now, it is like a lot of the stuff that's very key to the Mad Max thing has also become a trope and overused, but it's also a staple because it is a trope. So keeping that in mind is absolutely going to be beneficial. Now, don't necessarily copy and paste everyone's ideas. Take your own initiative on it and use that. I can't praise junk highly enough. One of the more important parts of assembling one of these costumes is all the work that goes in beforehand. Getting bits and bobs and these little, being able to kind of kit bash a costume, take stuff that is seemingly random and make it a part of this outfit and make it tell a story. For example, I've got a plate carrier looking thing that is chest armor that was created for an airsoft event. And there are these hardware panels on the front that look very armored. They're wings off of a TIE fighter, like a little plastic TIE fighter that I found in a disused pile. It was broken, so I gave it a new life by incorporating it into the armor. And so speaking of materials, if you're going for something that's screen accurate, it's from something pop culture. It's, Mad Max's outfit. It is Furios's outfit. It is, something from Fist of the North Star or Tank Girl. There are fan communities all around the world that obsess over this stuff. And I would definitely encourage you to do some Google searches to see if someone has already done all of the research, finding out, what brand of boot, this actor wore and what type of hockey pads or football pads, this actor was using for their pieces. That will save you a lot of time. And, sometimes with screen accurate stuff, you can just have that commissioned or bought. Now, that stuff usually is not cheap. It is definitely more of a premium item. The step from that I am preferable of is the inspired or original design. Inspired, you see all the time. Basically, anytime you see somebody wearing half a set of shoulder pads, you have, Max Rockatansky to thank for it. And the costume designers there. So a place to get started for your next post-apocalyptic outfit is your closet, thrift stores, flea markets, rummage sales, yard sales, the internet. Look for things that are cheap, that you can afford to mess up, and, eventually you'll find something that speaks to you. Now, if you don't have time for that, there are lots of crafters that are dedicated to this. There, Mark Cordery, does amazing, like all of his stuff is amazing. The folks, there's too many people to mention. I'll put a list together of people that do amazing work. So that's the talk on the theory of everything. And so there's a lot to take in, and there's a lot to consider. I'm very thankful that you sat and listened with me for a while. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If there's other things you'd like to hear, ask away. Happy to help. And as always, this is Will, and I will see you in the wasteland.